Welcome to the Hands-On Business Podcast, the place you come to get tips, tricks, and advice on growing your business. This is a podcast where you can hear real business leaders discussing systems and methodologies that they have used to help them catapult growth in their business. So I'm your podcast host, Hakeem Adebiyi, and I've grown several small businesses to multi-million-pound enterprises. And whilst doing that, I noticed that there wasn't really any place that focused on where I was, i.e. growing a small business. All the content that was out there seemed to be about big businesses and often just a lot of theory and not practical, implementable advice. And hence, the Hands-On Business Podcast is born to fulfill that gap. Today will be one of my shorter business bite sessions, which you probably know by now is effectively me musing about a topic which has piqued my interest. With the explosion of ChatGPT and the recent call for a moratorium on artificial intelligence by some of the world's great tech giants and business minds, I thought that, this episode, it'd be worth digging into this in a bit more detail to see what's all the fuss about, specifically when talking about business. So what I wanted to discuss is artificial intelligence a force for good or evil in business? Because, AI is revolutionizing the way businesses operate. And it's not hard to see why, because it's being used to automate processes, streamline operations, and increase efficiency. Now, the ability of AI to analyze vast amount of data, learn from that data, and make predictions and recommendations based on the analysis can help businesses grow in many ways. But while AI can be a powerful tool for business, I think it also raises some questions about how it's being used and how it's going to be used and how it's going to affect our lives in the future. So I thought having a dispassionate look at the pros and the cons may help us come to some conclusions. So I want to start off with the benefits. And, firstly, one of the biggest benefits of AI is obviously its ability to automate repetitive tasks. Those tasks that it's going to normally take hours and sometimes days to complete. And obviously, if you automate these mundane tasks, businesses can really free up a lot of their time. And obviously, once you free up more time, you've got more time to do creative problem solving. And as they say, in inverted commas, those other higher value activities. Now, that's obviously going to help companies save money on labor costs by reducing the need for manual labor. For example, factories now, and have been doing for quite some time, are increasingly using robotic arms powered by AI algorithms to automate production processes that were once done predominantly by hand. Now, this can obviously help factories operate faster with fewer mistakes, and then it also reduces the labor costs at that same time. Now, people often always focus on those manual tasks, but it's not just a reserve of what people call manual labor, because AI is being deployed in my industry. I, work predominantly in the healthcare industry, as you probably know. So it's been deployed a lot in healthcare for quicker and more accurate diagnosis. And obviously, well, not obviously, but now AI-powered medical robots are actually being developed that can perform very complex surgeries with greater accuracy than a human doctor could achieve alone. So the automation of mundane tasks can obviously be especially beneficial for small businesses with limited budgets. But obviously, if you're one of those people that AI replaces, then that's a significant negative in the immediate term. And I'm going to touch on that in the cons section. So moving on to benefit number 2, in addition to that saving of time and money, AI can also help businesses make better decisions. Why, I hear you ask? Because obviously decisions are based on analyzing data and then making a decision on the basis of that. So AI can analyze large amounts of data very, very quickly. And therefore, it can provide insights that humans may not have been able to uncover on their own, or certainly not as quickly. And that then means that the businesses can make more informed decisions based on very accurate data rather than relying on guesswork or, in lots of times, gut instinct alone. So this then means that you can help companies identify new opportunities potentially and optimize processes. So, for example, AI can be used to detect fraud or suspicious activity in financial transactions because it analyzes data points such as spending habits and location information, again, much more accurately than a human could do. And that then means that you make better decisions. This leads on to the next point, which is about personalized customer experiences, because customer experience and sales and marketing, which is what I'm really interested in, is all about analyzing data and then making decisions based on that. And AI can analyze customer data, just as it can do with the example I gave a minute ago, to create personalized experiences for each customer. So it can do things such as deliver tailored product recommendations or targeted marketing campaigns. And this can obviously then lead to improved customer satisfaction and increased brand loyalty. So, if AI can do all those things, it's not really any wonder why Meta and Google are spooked. Because the question is, if you can do that, would anyone continue to spend lots and lots of money, thousands, hundreds of thousands, on Facebook and Google ads? I'll leave that hanging there, but my answer would probably be, well, I wouldn't. So moving on to the benefit number 4, and this is the final one I'm going to get into. It's about better risk management as well, because AI can help businesses detect potential risks and prevent them before they actually become major issues. So just think about this. It can help companies save money and protect their reputation, therefore, by leveraging natural language processing. So AI-driven software can scan through large amounts of data, such as financial reports or, what I'm interested in, customer feedback, to detect patterns that could indicate a risk. So, for example, if customer feedback was consistently getting mentioned or mentioning a particular issue or problem, then it's possible that that could then lead to a major risk factor in the future. And therefore, with AI, you can get that information much more quickly, and you're detecting those patterns earlier on. And therefore, you can take steps to mitigate the risk before it actually becomes an issue. So those are some of the things that are the reasons why people are really investing and looking at AI in businesses. And I think there's some comprehensive ones and some really important ones, but we also have to look at the challenges, because there are also some potential risks associated with using AI in business. So, for example, there's always those concerns about privacy when it's not being handled by an individual. It's being handled now by, somebody, an algorithm effectively collecting personal data from customers or employees. There's also the potential for bias creeping into those algorithms, depending on who's programming them. That could lead to unfair outcomes or discrimination against certain groups of people. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't already happen with human intelligence, to be honest, but that's why you have a HR department. The question is, who is going to police the algorithms? So, that's something to be mindful of. And then moving on to the really big one that everybody talks about, it's about that lack of human interaction, isn't it, when you're talking about AI? Because although AI can automate very many tasks, it can't yet replicate human interaction entirely. Or can it? Only time is really going to tell on that. So this can be a problem, certainly if you're a business that relies on building relationships with customers and face-to-face. But who knows where it's going to take us to in the future. But this is an issue, actually, this one, that actually, whatever time in human history you look at, whatever age you're in, when there's been a process of automation, this is a concern that everyone's always had to have and always grappled with. But there always seems to be a way around it. But it's definitely a concern. And I think an extension of this particular point is there's always a worry that humans will start to become much too reliant on machines and forget how to think critically or solve problems without assistance from technology. And as you'd expect, like everything else these days, there's already a term for, becoming too reliant on it, and it's called algorithmic dependence. I can't believe it. There's a term for anything these days, but yeah, algorithmic dependence is something that people are very concerned about. So, point 3, I mentioned earlier on that one of the benefits of AI was a reduction in labor costs because you can automate those mundane tasks. Now, as I said, that's not a benefit if you're the labor, though, is it? So people assume that this replacement of AI or replacement with AI is only going to be just low-level manual jobs. However, I've already talked in the pros about the surgery AI robots, but what about the creative industry? And this is a real big area, I think, that is of a concern if you're in the creative industry, because I've worked with quite a few copywriters in the past on lots of different projects, whether that's web copy, that's newsletters, I've got blogs, that I've worked with copywriters on, and the list can go on. However, I haven't worked with any since I got hold of an AI tool. And I'm not just talking about ChatGPT. I'm not talking about ChatGPT, because I've been using a paid platform for about the last 2 years. And since then, I haven't had a need for a copywriter. And that's been obviously great for me and my costs, because I don't have to pay for a copywriter. And the cost of the tool is significantly less, because it's a yearly subscription. I don't have to spend loads and loads of money on copywriters on a regular basis. But, that's fine for me, but it's not really great for the copywriters I used to work with. And I certainly don't think it's great for people like school kids. That's that algorithmic dependency that I was talking about. All of the kids handing in a variation of the same homework. But for a business, a business and a content creator like me, so a small business that creates content, someone like myself, as I said, for example, having, the AI create a base for me to work with and to work from, to give me ideas that I can then build out those ideas, has actually been a game changer. I can produce a lot more content in the same amount of time for a lot lower cost. Now, with all manner of creative things coming into place now, such as logo design, pictures, etc., that can obviously now be created from AI, that's got to be a serious concern for the creative industry, and something that, I'm watching very avidly to see how that plays out. And then the last one I'm going to talk about in terms of the cons is another obvious one. There's always the possibility that machines may malfunction or make mistakes due to incorrect programming or insufficient data sets. And that can lead to costly errors or even disasters if it's not checked properly beforehand. So most people are probably aware of some of the accidents which have occurred with Teslas, when they've been in self-driving mode. So, that's always a concern. But then also, what decision would a car make when faced with driving into a wall or a pedestrian? It's not an easy one for a human either, to be honest, but the car doesn't have to live with any consequences. So therefore, what decision is that going to make? So I think they're just some of the cons that come into place. And I've tried to be balanced, because I actually quite like AI, but you've got to have a look at, well, what is the pros and what's the cons, what could work well, what could not be so great. So overall, I think artificial intelligence has the potential to be a major force for good in business if it's used responsibly and ethically. Now, it can obviously, as we said, reduce labor costs. It provides and will provide and does provide valuable insights into customer behavior and marketing trends, which is obviously important for me as a sales and marketeer. And those were probably previously impossible to access without significant investment in time and money. And that time and money often was in things like Google ads and Facebook ads. So you can see, as I said again, why they will be very interested in either harnessing that technology themselves, but keeping it out of the hands of the layman. Those are some of the key things that we discussed. But however, there are some potential risks associated with using AI in business, as I've outlined. And they need to be taken into account before implementing any new technology, really, or strategies powered by AI technology, in my opinion. Now, and I think my conclusion is that with proper management and oversight, these risks can be minimized, allowing businesses everywhere to really start to reap the rewards of this powerful tool and not to be afraid of it, without putting himself on undue risk in the process. And to be fair, we just don't know at this stage whether it will continue to help drive innovation and cost reductions, as we talked about in the piece, or whether or not we'll start living in a Terminator world run by machines. As always, subscribe, like, and share if you like what you heard with your friends and your colleagues and anyone else that you can think of. But most of all, keep the feedback coming so that we continue to improve and give you more of what you like. Check out the show notes at www.thesalesaccelerationformula.com. And I hope you picked up some actionable tips. Keep listening and keep growing.